always. And guess what, guys? We're about to unpack this credit stuff. So listen, this is coming to a YouTube near you. Pay attention because right now I got the GOAT by Credit Ninja is on the podcast.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. People talk about credit, but they don't break it down. You have a strategy to where you break it down to where it actually affects the numbers. Now, how much does payment, what percentage does payment history account for? And I've actually done this, and this is what broke me into the from 700 to the 800s. It's actually utilizing my old cars and asking for an increase of credit. And what that did for me is that it lowered my utilization because my limit was higher, therefore boosting my credit score. That's a hack right there.
Right, but this one you didn't even have to. You already got a proof of the line, so you're just shifting that weight over. You don't even have to ask them. You become your own.
Bang.
Bingo. Bingo.
That's good.
That's power.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today's guest is this is VIP Credit Ninja from Clubhouse. Let me tell you, a phenomenal young lady. Let me tell you a quick story. She's probably not going to remember this, but when we met on Clubhouse, I was just listening to you continue to pour into people, help people, and just do all of these things for people. And what was crazy about it is that we got on a phone call, right? And then I found out that you actually have a military experience. So can you share that with the people?
Yeah, my dad's a Marine. And once a Marine,
always
a Marine. Yeah. So my dad fought for the U.S. side and Vietnam side. And we left Vietnam in 1975.
Okay.
And the first place we landed in was Camp Pendleton.
That's insane.
Oh my God. So a lot of history in the military. And thank you for your service, by the way. And that's the first thing we want to acknowledge, all the people that have fought to get our freedom.
Yes.
This is what we're talking about, is financial freedom, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And tell us, I want to know your quick story. So you have a unique story. You were on Camp Pendleton at a holding camp. Can you explain that story?
Yeah, so we were refugees. That means we left our country because of political reasons. Mm-hmm. My dad worked for the military. He was former Marine, but also always a Marine. He does Central Intelligence, so we got to leave early. We were not boat people. We actually came over here on a plane, a Boeing, a big plane with all of the dignitary and ambassadors. And so we landed in Camp Pendleton because they didn't know where to put us. So it was a holding camp. And we all lived out of tents, and each of them had sprayed paint the number of the tent. And my mom was sick over in Oceanside at that hospital. Right. So we didn't see her. But what we did was we were able to leave the camp because of our connections, because of my dad's connection, and we went and got Burger King. Yeah,
I remember. You see?
Yeah. You remember. And then we brought it up and gave it to my mom. And remember, she's barely, she's on life support and getting out of it. And she took a bite of Burger King. And she's never tasted something so delicious. And literally, it made her wake up. It was a taste of freedom.
Oh, that's good. That's a great story, by the way. So how did you get into the credit situation? I want to know. I want to know, what made you get started in that? Mm-hmm. Now, I know you have a unique story. I remember you were telling me that you were working with multimillionaires and you had a big contract, and then you had to lose everything and come back. Can you share that with me?
Yeah, in 2008, the whole housing crash happened. The financial crash happened to you. It happened to me. It happened to everyone.
Yes.
But I had a tech company out in Vegas, and we went belly under because it couldn't support all the business there. And so alongside that, I also had a lawsuit that I had to deal with. It had to do with fundraising, and everybody wanted their money back. And when it gets sloppy, it gets really sloppy. When people want their money, it just goes, everyone was feeling it. So I was in a 4-year lawsuit. I lost everything. My home was in foreclosure. Luckily, I did a short sale. That's what you would recommend. If you can, do a short sale, save your credit. Number 2, all my credit cards got canceled because when you don't have the ability to pay, it all gets canceled. And at that time, banks were reducing limits or canceling the ones that they felt that is going to be a risk to the banks. So I didn't have access to credit. I went to the bank to get money out to survive, my bank accounts were frozen by the IRS.
That's
so
crazy.
it was the worst scenario of all. So I had no choice but to just live one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, until I finished my lawsuit and finally try to fix my own credit problem. And because I was in the law library representing myself, I ended up finding some laws that really helped someone fix their credit. It was the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and you know about that. And you're able to dispute negative items, and then eventually things will fall up, but it took time. So I was my own guinea pig. That was my story on how that whole thing went down.
So that's interesting because basically what you're saying is that your challenge, it wasn't a problem. It was setting you up to become the brand Credit Ninja today.
Right. It was my own journey. It was all the hurdles that I had to jump. It was all the negative things I had to deal with. It was all the war wounds I had to deal with. But at the time, I didn't think that it was going to lead me to being the credit expert because I was able to solve my problem. So if anybody out there is going through something, the journey that you're going through is going to lead you to your calling. That was my calling.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that you're viral on Clubhouse, like how did you build that brand up?
Yeah, so after I fixed my own problem, my credit went up. I finally got accepted to Chase. And when I got my first Capital One card, it was a small limit. But then I finally got my Chase card, and it was only $1,000. But it was a game changer because the big banks, the big blue bank, the most difficult bank in the world, accepted me. Mm-hmm. And it gave me confidence.
Right.
And then I asked myself, is it luck or is it skill? You know, in anything you do, your first sale, you're like, is it really like a skill or is it I got lucky because someone gave me that sale? Mm-hmm. Well, that's the feeling I had. Was it lucky that I fixed my own problem? My score went from 300 to the 700s? Or did I really know what I was doing? So in order to test that, I asked some of my business associates, like attorneys, CPAs, real estate agents. I said, can I have all the horrible credit people and I'll fix them for free? And they're like, sure, go ahead. Because everybody had bad credit after 2008.
That's true.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And then because I got them in as a client for free, I got testimonials. And then they go, God, you're such a ninja. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is when Instagram started to blow up. And I just grabbed the name Credit and glued it with the word ninja. And then it became my Instagram name. But I didn't do anything with it for like the first year because I was just trying to build clients. That's how I got the name.
So Credit Ninja is such a catchy thing and it's so unique in nature, right? Now, I'm going to keep it real. She's Asian, y'all. So
of course. Yeah.
Credit Ninja, come on, man. But what I really like about it is that you come from a servant place. And guess what, guys? We're about to unpack this credit stuff. So listen, this is coming to a YouTube near you. Pay attention because right now I got the GOAT. But Credit Ninja is on the podcast.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's talk about the difference between, let's go over some nuggets that we can give people. So what is the difference between revolving credit and installment credit?
Yeah, so revolving credit is ones that, you have to pay every month. Mm-hmm. There's a minimum amount. There's also a limit to it that's going to change your credit score. So depending on what you use, it's going to dictate what the utilization is. For installment, it's a set amount already. Like you take a loan out for $5,000 and that monthly payment is set in stone. It doesn't fluctuate. And then you could choose to pay it early or not. Well, of course, you have to see if there's any penalties for paying it early. So those are the two different things. One fluctuate, one is set. You know what you got in as a loan amount, and you know what the monthly payment is.
Okay. So guys, these are the top 5 things that affect your credit. This is the only person that actually breaks this down so you guys can understand what affects the credit. We're going to go through the first one, payment history.
Yeah, 35%.
Okay.
Of your score. Payment history shows the behavior patterns that these banks look at. And guess what? It's very important. If you're delinquent, if you have collections, if you have charge-offs, that's a big sign. So focus in on not missing your payments. And one of the best ways to do it is avoid missing it, have it on auto pay.
Yep.
Right? So you can do it automatically. It's seamless. Go ahead.
Indeed. So payment history is 35%. And then now we're going to transition over to the amount. Oh, what percentage is that?
That's 30%. So it's called utilization. So for example, if that credit card is $5,000, you want to keep it under 10%. Some people say under 30, but if you really want a good score, keep it under 10% on each credit card. Okay. So if you have 5 credit cards, each of them have to be under 10% if you want to be in the 800s. That's our goal, right?
Yes.
To be in, and then you have to pay attention to that. So that way it doesn't hit that limit. And then we'll share some strategy. I can't give it all now. Go ahead.
All right. So 35% for the payment history, and then the amount owed is 30%. And then what about length of credit history?
Yes, that's 15%. So the age of your credit is really important. I see a lot of people who have really older cards that they opened when they first started the journey, and then they just shut it down, or they didn't use it for a while. The banks will shut it down for inactivity. That actually lowers your score because you don't have a lot of history. It's like fine wine. You know, we have wine, right? The older it is,
the better
the more complex, and the flavor and the price is higher. The new ones, oh my God, it didn't develop the flavor, so it's cheap wine.
That's how a good way to look at
it. That's the way you look at it, yeah.
So now, okay, how many credit cards would you recommend for people to have?
You got to slowly build it up, but eventually the number is 21. And you may think it's a lot, but if you do 2 cards a year, and in a period of 5 to 10 years, you're going to hit that number. But you got to get the right ones. Don't get a whole bunch of store credit cards or subprime credit cards. You got to get the ones with the big banks or the ones that are really respected and recognized. Okay, so I have to add that.
So now we talked about the first 2 things. Let's talk about the actual credit mix.
Yeah.
How does that affect your credit?
That's like 10%. It's affecting 10% of your credit score. So your mix is auto loans, mortgages, and credit cards. And you can have combinations of them. Don't just have credit cards. Go in there if you want to get an installment loan. If you want to get like a small installment, that still counts and marks the box. And auto loans, that's really good to show that you're responsible in paying monthly payments. Home loans, that means you're paying your mortgage. The most expensive credit item on your credit report is mortgage. It shows your responsibility behavior.
And
right?
that's an installment loan.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So and new credit. So when you get new credit, what is the difference between I know somebody say hard pull and soft pull. What is the difference?
So a hard pull is when you go and apply for a credit, and then you're requesting it from a lender or bank. So it's going to be hard because they're going to have to look and make sure that they look at all the variables. A soft one is when the banks may increase your limit and you already have a relationship. They just want to make sure that everything still looks good without pulling a deep file. It's like going through a car wash. You know, you go through a car wash, just the exterior, it's not much, but you do deep cleaning, they're going to have to go under the board. It's extensive and all that, and it's going to count as an inquiry. Okay?
Oh.
Yeah. So the inquiry is actually, the more increase you have, it shows that you're shopping for lines. And it shows that you're now like a slightly higher risk than being very conservative with 1 or 2 increase every, few months or so.
Oh, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I know that you talked to me about is if you have a credit card, just increase your limit on that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember in Clubhouse you said, well, if you have credit cards and it's already established, increase your line of credit, and that changes the debt to income ratio.
Exactly. So let me elaborate on that. So say, for example, you have one card with Chase. Like my first one was the Freedom card. It was $5,000. As my credit got better, I got a better credit card, maybe a Slate for $10,000. And then later on, I'm like, I'm going to get a Sapphire Reserve or Sapphire Preferred or a Hyatt card, with a co-branded card with Chase. And they all have $5,000, $10,000 limits. Now I can reallocate those. So you call the bank and say, Chase, I'm not really using that Slate card anymore. It has $15,000 on there. Can I drop it to 5 and move that 10 available onto my Freedom? Because now I use that more and it has more benefits. Guess what? Now you have this cushion. Instead of the small limit on that Freedom, you now stacked another 10 on there. This is a good tip, guys. This is a $10,000 tip that I'm sharing with Glenn's audience.
Yes.
Anthony Glenn's audience.
Make sure you guys pick this up because this is a big one. Write this down right now.
Yeah, so call your bank. And that's why I encourage people to have multiple cards within one bank. And then you just rinse and repeat, do it with another bank and another bank. Even with American Express, when you have cards that have limits, like those co-branded Delta or Marriott travel cards and all that, you could do the same technique, and you can call them and say, that airline card with Delta, I don't need 15,000. Leave 5. Can you put it over to my Marriott? Or can you put it over? Okay. Now your comparable credit, instead of it being tiny 5,000, you now have a $40,000 because you just stacked them all into one card. That is the oldest card. So now you have age, mark that off. You also have limit, mark that off. Now when you go out and build your business credit, they see this comparable, because they're going to have to run your personal, right?
Yep.
They see this comparable credit. All of a sudden it's 30, 40,000. They're going to give, your chances of getting approved is like that versus a line that's 5,000 or less. I just shared with you guys the tip.
That's a bar right there.
Come on.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
And I've actually done this, and this is what broke me into the from 700 to the 800s. It's actually utilizing my old cards and asking for an increase of credit. And what that did for me is that it lowered my utilization because my limit was higher, therefore boosting my credit score. That's a bar. That's a hack right there.
Right, but this one you didn't even have to. You already got approved for the line, so you're just shifting that weight over.
That's
you don't
big.
even have to ask them. You become your own
Bank.
bingo.
There you have it.
Bingo.
That's good.
That's power.
That's good. So for someone who has bad credit, what would Credit Ninja tell people to do first?
Yeah.
What would be the first step that you would advise a person that is looking to fix their credit? Because I know a lot of people have charge-offs and stuff. Listen, do not pay charge-offs without talking to Credit Ninja first.
Or
okay?
collections, any of that.
Why?
Because some of this debt you don't have to pay back because it's already sold to a third-party collection agency, and they may not have the right to come after you because they don't have their documents in order. It's called account level documentation. It's when they don't have your signature, they don't have the details of that account, and if you go to federal court, and this is facts, 'cause I've been through there, you will most likely win the case because they don't have the documentation. At the end of the day, even in real estate, if you don't have the documentation, it's going to be very hard for you to buy a house, sell a house, transfer the house, trust the house, and all this stuff, right?
That's
So
good.
boil down to documentation. So I would say don't pay for anything that's on your credit report that's negative until you look it over with someone that is an expert at it. Because oftentimes, even if you pay for it, it's still going to be there. You know those stories.
Another thing that I want to ask you is that a lot of people have bankruptcies and foreclosures.
Yes.
How do those adversely affect your credit?
Well, it depends if it's what kind of bankruptcy it is and how is it discharged. So you have to find out what was in that bankruptcy and how did that attorney handle those negative items. Because it might be one that was handled correctly and those line items are knocked out. But if it's not handled correctly, those line items of those different accounts are still showing up.
So another question that I have, so if a person, let's just say that there was something negatively reporting on their credit, what advice would you give them and how could you be able to assist them with that?
Yeah, the first thing is awareness. You got to overcome the fear to find out what's on your credit report. So going out there and getting an Experian.com report, or a MyScore IQ. There's plenty out there. People can hit me up. I can give them the links. Or a free credit report is annualcreditreport.com. It's free to all consumers. You get one report a year. And I know during COVID, they gave you more than one because they're just protecting the consumer. That's free. You can download all that. You can get all the data. And from that point on, at least you know what's negative on there and you deal with one thing at a time. And there's so many ways to dispute it. And you can highlight some of that right now. You know, you can search these different codes that would help them. We don't want to define the codes because it depends on the scenario.
Got you.
Got it?
So there's a couple of things. So there's 10 items that you recommended for actually people working on their credit.
Yeah.
One of them would be paying their bills on time. Why is
Yes.
that important?
Because those late payments will reflect as either a 30-day late, 60-day late, 90-day late. It actually drops their score anywhere from 50 to 100 points. And so having automatic payments, whether you just bought a new car, get online and set up automatic pay to make sure that the account that goes out of it is hitting every month. And the first few months, you got to monitor that just to make sure that the payment goes through. Okay. Number 2 is organizing all your payments to make sure that you have a spreadsheet. You are into spreadsheets.
Yes.
I'm a big spreadsheet person. And if you don't know how to do spreadsheets, get a piece of paper, get a ruler, do it old school, write it down, jot down all your credit cards, the date that they're due, the limits of them, how much you owe on it, which is your balance, and then any additional notes. Like if you got a credit card that was a special offer and you have to hit your bonus, so you have to spend $4,000 in the next 30 days, write it in that column. And then you have to write in there, when does that zero interest, they may have offered you a zero interest. When did it end? Because you don't want to start paying interest. So what's the drop date? So if it's June, put it like April, that be prepared to zero that card out. And then you avoid all these, I don't like to pay interest.
I don't either.
What's the point, right?
Yes.
Okay, but that's another tip right there, is staying organized. Spreadsheets are really good.
Okay, so paying your bills on time, number 1. That's the first thing you said. Reducing your credit card balances and debt, right? And then number 3 is paying off debt.
Yeah.
Why is that combination? How does that combination translate into increasing the credit?
Yeah, because then it shows the utilization on their credit report is super low, right? You have a stellar behavior pattern in paying, so that translates to a better score, right? And then keeping track of, like, tracking all your credit cards and when it's due is so important. And the thing is, the next big tip is the reporting date. Write that on that list. Why
reporting
is that?
Date.
Yeah, so it's a date that the credit card companies report to the bureaus. That's how you game the system. That was a game changer for me.
That's the cheat code.
Yeah, that's the cheat code, guys. So what happens is, if today is the 23rd, your credit card is the reporting date for your credit card. What you want to do is, usually it's a week before that is when it's due. Pay it to the lowest amount. Wait until they report you. Like 23rd, if they reported you and it already gave that number as being zero balance, you can go and buy supplies for your house to do the flip and max that card out $10,000. It still shows as zero.
Wow.
That's a big tip, guys, because when I found that tip out, it showed me how to get the ultimate score, the optimal score, and maintaining the 800 score at all times. And you know, and this is a controversial talk, but is it important to have a high score or a decent score and being able to make money with it? I would rather have the 700 and something score and being able to leverage that and put it in real estate, or put it in business. I see all these people with 800 scores. They're broke as no joke. They're brokenaires.
Yeah, brokenaires.
Or they don't know how to leverage to make their life better. Why have an 800 score and not being able to have that life that you want to? You know, it's a quality of life. Were you able to generate money with that score? Were you able to get loans that you were responsibly paying back? That's the main thing. I don't want to have an 800 score and not do anything with it.
That's true. What's the purpose of having a score if you're not utilizing it to your advantage?
You are, because you're putting it into so many different investments. You're into education. You're giving back to the community. That's the reason why you are given an 800 score, is to do something good.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. So I went to Las Vegas, all right? And when I tell you, you see this? Look at this. See this? This is not cheap stuff right here. This is good quality hydro flask. And this is one thing that I know about my friend Leanne, or Credit Ninja, okay, is that she really, really enjoys taking care of people. And this is the reason why that she went viral on Clubhouse. When I tell you, I think 80,000 followers or something crazy like that.
Close to that. Yeah.
Right? And then you were trending on Instagram. I know you got hacked recently.
Yeah.
Right? But one fundamental thing is that I've seen endurance in her ability to serve people. So I went to Las Vegas. She had an event, okay, the presidential suite in Las Vegas. I was able to eat. I got Scooby snacks. I met some very good people. It was a VIP event. Multi-millionaires was in this event, and I was humbled to be there. but I did not feel like I was a guest. I felt like I was a friend. I felt like I was family. And I wanted to highlight that because I hear people saying all the time that they're getting, a Ninja Flow, they're getting flasks, they're getting hats, t-shirts and things. Where does that come from? I want to know, like, where does that servant mentality come from? Because it comes from somewhere. Why do you do that?
Yeah, I believe that life is a gift. The people you meet is not by accident. And when you come from a place of giving, the more you give, the more you make. The more you make, you better give back. And it's a cycle like that, because as things happen in your life, you're going to make a lot, but you're going to lose a lot. And then you're going to make a lot, you're going to lose. It's called a cycle. But you're always, one thing is, you always get back up when you're able to understand that it's humble. You're humble through the process.
Yes.
And so I've always, when I meet someone, I always give something meaningful as a gift. And at the event, we had a lot of VIPs, so they all left with swags. You were my guest, but they were my clients.
The swag bag.
The swag bag, and you already showed that. You have a hat. You want to put that hat? Show them the hat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, put that hat on.
So check this out.
Yeah,
Look,
take off that one. Yeah.
I'm gonna take off my Atlanta hat and I'm gonna
Yeah,
put this on
just
real
look at
time.
that. This is he's gonna rep
Ninja
me.
Flow.
Thank you for
Boom.
repping me.
Repping the crew. See, look,
Yeah.
oh, it's too small. Look.
No, open it. Yeah.
I'm gonna open it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. Thank you.
I'm gonna change this and I'm gonna put the hat on right now. Bam.
There
Got
you
it.
go. Yeah.
Rocking the
Yes.
Credit Ninja.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think gift giving, how do you live life so that you're remembered? And I believe quality swag and merch is a representation of your brand and what you stand for. So Credit Ninja has been around, but now with the Ninja Flow, with the launch of the digestive enzymes, my goal is to get this into 8 billion people's hands. And it's getting there. In fact, after this meeting, I'm going to be meeting with my partners that is moving this to Southeast Asia.
Wow.
What he said is going to be the next Red Bull phenomenon. And these people are big in Asia. And so right after this, we're penning the deal. It's a $100 million deal.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. So,
$100 million. Credit Ninja. Look, can I be your cousin?
Yes,
Somebody.
Yeah, we're family, right? So, like, how do you come across? You represent your brand.
Yep.
And so it's going to be done because everybody eats. And digestive enzyme, you're big into fitness. I know you ran the strip when you were in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And I really love your consistency.
I ran this morning.
Do you believe health is the new wealth?
Absolutely.
So taking care of your health is so important because you can't be an entrepreneur when you're sick, when you're not healthy, when your gut health is everything. So the tagline is good gut health, good gut feelings only, because your gut is your second brain.
It is.
And if your gut is not optimal, you're gonna fail.
That's true. And this is and I know this is impromptu, but you're always giving. So I'm going to give something back to you. Today, we're going to do some advertising for free for the Ninja Flow. We're going to film your stuff today so we can get you some content to put out there.
I appreciate it.
So I'm thankful for you being able to come here. I really appreciate everything that you're doing for people. One of the things that I will say is that I like being aligned with people who understand how important it is to serve people. And I know that your heart is so big, and I don't feel like people give enough to you. So I just want to say thank you, because leadership, you have to do it when you're tired, when you're disappointed, and nobody asks you how you're doing. But I just want to say thank you for coming here today. And what's the best way to reach Credit Ninja?
Yeah, and I just want to respond to that is I appreciate that you're acknowledging me. I never ask anyone anything on Clubhouse. I've never pitched.
I'm getting a hug, man.
Oh, my God.
I appreciate you so much for all that you do for people.
Thank you so much. Wow, that means the world to me. I always live life so you want to leave a piece of yourself behind. How are you remembered? Even when we're done speaking on an app like Clubhouse, how do you take people off of it in real life? And you're one of those people that I would truly say is a dear friend of mine, that I truly believe that you are there for the people.
I am.
And I'm always there to support you, however journey that you take. And, Ninja Flow, you can follow that on Instagram at Ninja FLO. So Ninja and the word FLO. And the website is the same, ninjaflow.com. And then for me, the best thing is Instagram. So my new Instagram is Ninja, Ninja, and then my first name is Lyann, Lyann. So just send me a message there. You can click the link right there on my website, and then just fill that out. Fill that out, and one of my team members can help serve you somehow or another.
Thank you so much. And guys, you can reach me at anthony10k.com or anthonysocial.com, where we help you win in real estate. And today's podcast has been about credit. So listen, make sure you interconnect with Credit Ninja. Make sure you subscribe and like, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.